Salem is sitting on a powder keg right now, and the scariest part is that almost everyone thinks they're still in control. Because on days of our lives, betrayals don't just hurt, they multiply. One lie triggers another, one secret forces a second secret, and suddenly an entire relationship, business, or family legacy collapses in a single afternoon. And that's exactly where we are today. We've been watching quiet cover-ups, sneaky side missions, and temporary secrets that were never meant to last. But now, the cracks are showing. The truth is getting louder. And 5 betrayals are on the verge of blowing up so hard that Salem won't recognize itself afterward. So let's break down the 5 betrayals that are about to explode, what each person thinks they're protecting, what they're actually destroying, and who's going to pay the highest price when the traitor gets unmasked. And here's the twist. None of these betrayals are just personal. Every one of them hits a bigger system: Titan, the Demera dynasty, friendships, marriages, and even law enforcement. So when these truths come out, it's not going to be one argument and a breakup. It's going to be fallout. Public fallout, family fallout, career fallout, and revenge. Let's start with the betrayal that could take down a romance and a corporate empire at the same time. On the surface, Philip and Gabby are the kind of couple Salem loves to romanticize. 2 strong personalities, 2 sharp minds, 2 people who look unstoppable when they're aligned. But here's the uncomfortable truth about relationships built on intensity. They don't just run hot, they burn down entire cities when the trust is gone. And right now, Gabby is carrying a secret that doesn't just threaten her romance. It threatens Philip's identity. Because Titan isn't just a job to Philip Kyriakis. Titan is legacy. It's family pride. It's proof he belongs at the table. When Titan struggles, Philip doesn't see numbers, he sees humiliation. And Titan is struggling. That means the blame game is coming. And when it starts, everyone will trace the damage back to key turning points. The merger drama, the corporate chaos, the moments where inside information and sabotage shifted the balance. And that's where Gabby's secret becomes lethal. Once Philip finds out Gabby helped Tony Demera plant that bug in Xander's office, Philip isn't going to interpret it as Gabby did something complicated for complicated reasons. He's going to hear one message loud and clear: Gabby protected the Demeras, while Titan was being put at risk. Because the bug wasn't an innocent trick. It wasn't a harmless spy move. It's the kind of action that creates domino effects, leaking leverage, destroying trust between power players, and turning business into war. And Philip will connect it like this. Titan's instability worsened. The merger didn't hold. The Kyriakis name got dragged through more chaos. And meanwhile, the woman he's in love with helped ignite the spark. So when Gabby tries to explain, and she will, it won't be enough to say, "I had to. It was complicated. I was trying to survive." Because Philip's counter question will be brutal. Did you ever plan on telling me, or were you just going to let me find out when it destroyed me? That's the real betrayal here. Not the bug itself, but the choice to hide it while letting Philip keep believing their relationship was clean. And once Philip feels fooled, the romance doesn't just crack. It turns into a power struggle. Because Philip doesn't just walk away when he's hurt. He protects himself by controlling the narrative. So imagine the worst case blow-up. What if Philip learns the truth during a Titan crisis meeting? What if Xander throws the evidence on the table? What if Philip gets blindsided in front of executives, family, or even the press? Now it's not just betrayal, it's public humiliation. And when a Kyriakis feels humiliated, they don't just break up, they strike back. So the big question isn't if Philip finds out, it's how he finds out, and whether Gabby is standing beside him when it happens, or standing across from him like an enemy. Because once that bubble pops, it won't pop gently. It will shatter, loudly, painfully, and with consequences that ripple far beyond romance. Now let's talk about a betrayal that looks small on paper, but hits like a bomb in a marriage. Chanel didn't ask Johnny to throw away EJ's baby gift because she's jealous or dramatic. She asked because she understands EJ DiMera's greatest weapon. He doesn't force his way into your life. He leaves doors open, and waits for you to walk through them yourself. To Chanel, that baby gift wasn't just a present. It was a tether, a symbolic rope connecting Johnny back to EJ's influence. And Chanel thought Johnny agreed with her. So when Johnny secretly opens the box, sees the engraved gift, and keeps it, he doesn't just make a choice. He creates a secret inside the marriage. And that's why Chanel's reaction is going to be volcanic when she finds out. Because think about what this tells her. Johnny heard her boundaries, and crossed them. Johnny knew how much it mattered, and hid it anyway. Johnny didn't just hesitate, he chose silence. And silence is what makes this feel like betrayal. If Johnny had come to Chanel and said, "I can't bring myself to trash it," that would still hurt, but it would be honest. Instead, he hides it. So now Chanel won't just be angry about the object. She'll be terrified about the meaning. Because here's the story Chanel will tell herself the second she knows. He's still emotionally tied to the DiMeras. He still wants EJ's approval. And I'm competing with his bloodline. And in Salem, that fear is completely reasonable, because the DiMera family doesn't just fade away. It pulls you back in, slowly, like gravity. So the conflict becomes bigger than a gift. It becomes, who does Johnny choose when he's under pressure? Chanel will see EJ's gift as an opening, a crack EJ can widen anytime he wants. And Johnny may insist, "It meant nothing. I didn't want to hurt you." But Chanel's response will be simple and devastating. You already did. You just did it quietly. Because hiding something, to protect someone is still betrayal. It's just betrayal with a softer voice. And now the next domino is obvious. When Chanel confronts Johnny, does he finally admit the truth about why he kept it? Is it guilt, sentiment, loyalty, fear? Or is it something even more dangerous, like the fact that a part of him still wants EJ in his life? Because if that's the truth, Chanel isn't just dealing with a secret. She's dealing with a marriage that may be built on competing loyalties. And those marriages don't survive Salem. This betrayal is personal, and honestly, it's one of the coldest ones on the board right now. Because Sophia didn't just betray Holly. Sophia weaponized friendship. She pretended to make peace, pretended to care, pretended to rebuild trust, and then turned around and used that trust like a key to break into Holly's life from the inside. That's not conflict, that's psychological sabotage. The skincare supplement swap works as a storyline because it's the kind of manipulation that doesn't leave bruises, it leaves confusion. Holly won't immediately know she's being targeted. She'll just feel off. Her moods shift, her emotions spike, she reacts too fast, too intensely. And the worst part? Everyone around her will start treating it like she is the problem. And that's where the cruelty hits hardest. Because when you mess with someone in a way that makes them look unstable, you don't just hurt them, you isolate them. Friends pull back, people judge, Tate worries, adults dismiss her as dramatic. And Holly may start believing it herself. So when the truth finally comes out, Holly won't just be mad. She'll be horrified. Because she'll replay every moment Sophia smiled in her face, every moment Sophia acted supportive, every, "we're good now," conversation. And she'll realize it was all a performance. That realization doesn't just break trust. It breaks your ability to trust anyone again. And that's why the fallout here has the potential to be huge. Once Holly knows Sophia did this on purpose, Holly won't just want an apology. She'll want justice. But justice, in Salem, doesn't always mean courts. Sometimes it means exposure, public humiliation, turning the town against you. Sometimes it means revenge so precise it feels surgical. And Tate? Tate becomes a major factor because he's emotionally close enough to notice patterns, and protective enough to push for answers. If Tate discovers the swap, or even suspects it, he becomes the person who can take Sophia's scheme from rumor to fact. And the second it becomes fact, Sophia loses control, because her entire strategy depends on Holly doubting herself. If Holly gets proof, real proof, then the power dynamic flips instantly. Now Sophia becomes the one who's exposed. Now Sophia becomes the one everyone questions. Now Sophia becomes the one scrambling to explain. And that's when you find out what Sophia really is. A girl who panics and runs, or a girl who doubles down and gets even more dangerous. So the big question isn't just, when will Holly learn? The question is, when Holly learns, what kind of person does Holly become afterward? Because betrayals like this don't just end friendships. They create new villains, or new survivors, and sometimes, they create both. Now we move into a betrayal that doesn't just sting emotionally. It hits something deeper: family pride. And in Salem, when family pride gets wounded, things get ugly fast. Theo Carver already knows his father doesn't approve of him returning to DiMera Enterprises. Abe has seen the DiMera machine up close for decades: the corruption, the dirty alliances, the moral compromises that start small and end with someone's life destroyed. From Abe's point of view, Theo stepping back into that world is like walking into a storm with no shelter. But here's the problem. Theo isn't a kid anymore. He's an adult with ambition, and he's not asking permission. Theo believes he's earned a seat at the table. He believes he can handle the politics. He believes he can reclaim power without losing himself. And that's why what Abe does next isn't going to feel like concern. It's going to feel like control. Because Theo doesn't realize Abe didn't just disapprove. Abe moved pieces behind his back. Abe has been plotting with EJ to make sure Johnny stays in charge at DiMera. Which means Theo wasn't simply unlucky. He was quietly blocked, strategically undermined. And the worst part? It wasn't done by a rival. It was done by his own father. Now think about the emotional impact of that. When Theo finds out, he's not going to hear, "I did it to protect you." He's going to hear one brutal message: "You're not strong enough to win this fight, so I fought it for you." That is a deep, identity-level wound. Because for Theo, this isn't just about a job title or a CEO chair. It's about being taken seriously, by the city, by the DiMera power structure, and especially by the man who raised him. So when Abe tries to explain himself, and he will, it may not matter. Because explanations don't erase humiliation. And there's a nightmare scenario here that could make Theo's reaction even worse. What if Theo learns the truth publicly? What if EJ taunts him? What if Johnny throws it in his face? What if Theo realizes he walked into a room thinking it was a fair fight, while his father rigged the board? That kind of betrayal doesn't just cause an argument. It changes a son's relationship with his father, permanently. So the big question becomes, what does Theo do next? Does he punish Abe emotionally, by cutting him off and refusing to forgive? Or does he punish Abe strategically, by doubling down on DiMera and chasing power even harder, just to prove Abe wrong? Because once a son feels betrayed by his father, the next move often becomes dangerous. "I'll prove you wrong, at any cost." And in Salem, any cost usually comes with collateral damage. And now we get to the betrayal that could shake Salem's entire power structure, because this one isn't just personal. It's institutional. EJ DiMera believes Kat is a loyal assistant. Someone devoted, steady, and quietly supportive. The kind of person who feels safe around a man who usually trusts no one. He believes she's someone who understands him, even from back when she read to him at the clinic in Italy. And that detail matters, because EJ doesn't let many people into the quiet spaces of his life. If Kat was there in those vulnerable moments, then to EJ, she's not just staff. She's trusted. But the truth is far darker. Kat is part of a joint ESA-FBI mission designed to bring EJ down. So now, every time she offered comfort, it wasn't just comfort. Every time she asked questions, it wasn't just conversation. Every time EJ opened up, it wasn't just connection. It was access. And access is how powerful men fall. That's what makes this betrayal so explosive. Kat isn't just lying to EJ. She's potentially helping build a case, feeding a strategy, and shaping the trap from the inside. Now here's where the story gets psychologically messy, in the best way. Kat may be developing real feelings for EJ. And on days of our lives, that's when missions implode. Because real emotion creates hesitation. Hesitation creates mistakes. And mistakes get you exposed. So Kat's dilemma isn't just, do I finish the mission? It becomes, do I destroy the man I'm starting to care about, or betray everyone who sent me? Either way, she loses something. And when EJ finds out, because he always finds out, he won't just feel hurt. He'll feel hunted. And that's a crucial difference. Hurt can be forgiven. Hunted triggers survival. EJ DiMera does not respond to humiliation quietly. If he believes Kat played him, used him, and helped law enforcement build a case, he won't react with heartbreak. He'll react with vengeance. And here's the dangerous part. EJ's vengeance won't be random. EJ is calculated. He retaliates with precision. So once Kat is exposed, the fallout could look like EJ destroying her credibility publicly, EJ turning the mission against itself, EJ making Kat the scapegoat so the ESA and FBI get burned too, EJ forcing someone else to pay as a warning to Salem. Don't try this again. But the show might make it even darker and more emotionally twisted. What if Kat confesses her feelings, and EJ believes her? What if EJ realizes she betrayed him, but also realizes she's the first person who made him feel seen in a long time? That's the kind of conflict that keeps viewers addicted, because EJ could want revenge, and still want her. That's not a clean love story. That's not even a clean enemy story. That's obsession mixed with betrayal. The exact combination that creates months of chaos. So the real question isn't just, will Kat be exposed? It's, when she is exposed, does EJ destroy her? Or does he pull her closer in the most dangerous way possible? So those are the betrayals about to detonate, and when they do, Salem won't just have hurt feelings. It'll have fractures, marriages cracking, families splitting, power shifting overnight, and people realizing the truth too late, when the damage is already permanent. Because on days of our lives, the traitor being unmasked doesn't end the story. It starts the explosion. Now I want to hear from you. Which betrayal blows up first? Gabby's secret, Johnny's hidden gift, Sophia's manipulation, Abe's sabotage, or Kat's mission? And who do you think becomes the most ruthless once the truth hits? Drop your predictions in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because Salem is about to arrive.